Okay, we are live. Uh, just making sure I'm audible, visible. So that's it. And I'm opening up the chat now. Just going, making sure. Okay, all right. Nice. Welcome to Unlocking Emotional Intelligence Using Brain Skills. We are on the episode number 76, where three-fourths of the journey is completed. The rest of it is again for key brain talents, not to disregard the ones that we've always been the ones we have started doing from the beginning. We started off with the resilience, which is the most key factor in the day and age now, irrespective of any gender, any walks of life. Very, very important. We saw how resilience can be conducted logically, emotionally, and how it is going to be helpful for parenting, entrepreneurship, individual leadership, even for a student. Similarly, the same format has been adapted for a lot of other key talents, brain talents, like proactivity, emotional agility, um, problem solving, and critical thinking. Right now, we are talking about risk tolerance. So maybe after this could be one few more brain talents which can be adapted. So, having said that, every brain talent, every brain skills is needed for you to determine your success. So, you just cannot say one key skill is okay. Of course, exercising in one particular skill set is like mastering, but it is contrary to emotional intelligence because we are talking about brain skills, and the more you train your brain, you may be finding yourself very, very efficient, which means you can, you become very masterful in it, and it becomes very easy for you. You can save your time, energy, focus, all that. But the thing is, you will become hardwired. Okay, so that's the trickiest thing. So anything which comes to brain, developing skills or patterns, make sure that you have the right kind of awareness. You should be able to know when you are going overboard, when you are, in autopilot mode. And being in autopilot mode is not equivalent to efficient. Maybe it gives you that efficiency mode to seamlessly complete a transaction. But it becomes very difficult when you hardwired in any patterns. Because for you to unlearn and relearn, that's where we rewire the neuroplasticity, is very, very less as you age. So being a young adult or being a child is very flexible. Our mind is very, very flexible because we generate a lot of neurons biologically. And as we grow, it recedes. After a certain age, we go through a lot of imbalances. And then, the generation of new cells also recedes. That is why it's the aging process. Okay. So it is important to have a balance of both your logical and emotional brain skills. Anything and everything can be brought into these two hemispheres. You know why? Because we're talking about brain, and brain is a human component. All of us will have, and all of us will have two sides to function. So it is from these two functionality is our actions is expressed, our gestures are expressed, our behaviors are established. So anything and everything can be factored into these skill set, logical brain and emotional brain. So that important it is, not just for a student, it is also for an adult. So initially, when I started this episode, I started off talking for moms, working mothers, but then I felt based on the engagement that I get, I got few questions which can be applicable for even a student. So we are talking about 21st century most demanded skill set called emotional intelligence. It is important for even a career person, or even a child. So emotional literacy is the foundation skills for them to conduct their life very resilient. Today, we are going to be talking about risk tolerance, risk taking as a parent. So you may be wondering, what kind of risks are you actually taking as a parent? Uh, when it comes to parenting, we all know that we are constantly, uh, fighting over, battling over a lot of things, either handling tantrums from the children or handling their diet, healthy habits, or digital distractions. So that is becoming a big hurdle for parenting, right? So we got to safeguard, we got to shield them from digital gadgets and from the world, how it is fastly disrupting. So on that means what kind of risks that we are actually, what kind of challenges we are going through, and what kind of risks that we can actually take for the well-being of our children. So if you are the parent who want to capture or who want to observe that letting go habit in order for your children to grow, that means you must learn how to take small risks in your parenting. Letting go is a very, very important, subtler, uh, key habit, key practice that we need to adhere. It's not about washing off our responsibilities, but taking that accountability. We know that we are going to be standing in the back of the children. We're going to be backing them up, but at the same time, we are going to be allowing them to make mistakes and grow. Okay. Every time we jump into make actions, right? Every time we jump in to tell that solution, we don't want to step back, quietly listen, and observe what they want to even utter, right? Even when they want to say some, stories from their schools or from their friends, or something that they want to share, we always have our second opinion. In fact, we end those conversations only with our last word. Okay. If you have seen, what the reason why I say we is because sometimes even I do that. Nobody is perfect. But the only differentiation is that how much we are aware of these patterns. So there are a lot of things that we can, the more self-aware that you become, which is the first step towards emotional intelligence, a lot of things that you can start observing as a parent. Okay. On that note, all right, so we are audible, and I'm going to be sharing my presentation. Let's see what we've got for today. A very interesting topic, very important also. So we are going to see what is risk taking for parenting and why it matters, and how to balance guide and independence with over controlling. Balance the guidance and independence. Not both are not same, right? Because we think we are balancing. Just a second. Somebody is trying to message me, or I think the chat is open. Just going to make sure it's visible too. Right? Yes, live chat. Yeah, it is opened. All right. So we know, we may think that um, we want to raise, our children comfortably. We want to protect our children from a lot of things by holding them back, or, we don't know whether we are protecting or we are holding them back. So it's a journey. By the time we learn our own mistakes, it could be very precious for their childhood, right? For them to grow. So it is very important to know that letting go of the control of being an helicopter parent is very, very critical for their growth. So we will know what kind of risks that we can take and how much are we ready to take. In this episode, we'll see how much can we actually accommodate by allowing ourselves to be that independent, um, independency, favoritism, or uh, the opposite of controlling parenting or helicoptering parenting can be, we can call it as an interdependent parents, which means it's not totally independent, because like US, like developed countries like that, even as a child, the small child the younger ones, even before toddler, before they start, after they start walking, they are put in cribs and left in separate rooms, which is very, very radical for Indian parents. So that's the first thing that we all can notice. So over there, they were culturally brought that independent, even from the small age, and they get to eat what they want. There's no feeding, right? So it's totally opposite to what we do as a parent. Each and everything that you can see, that they grow independent children. Whereas Indians, we grow them as dependent children. There has to be a balance. There can be an interdependence, right? We don't want to be, after all, why we are doing what we are doing, earning money, or this amount of, effort and time is going on working for something and building some prosperity. At the end of the day, it is that happiness that we get when we see our children grow and prosper, right? So we don't want to leave those cultural roots within us. At the same time, we want to adapt something that is very good for our children also. So we need to know the best practices and combine that, have that balance. So we can create our own identity by, combining a lot of best practices. So we can pick up a good value systems from each and every culture that we interact with, even within your neighbors, right? One thing could be good for their family. The same thing may not be good for our family, because maybe your family is different with value systems, and the way you want to bring up your children, or the way that the thought process, emotions in your family could be different. So there is no one way to any solutions. There could be many other ways, but as long as you're very clear with your where you want to go, is very, very important. On that note, we are going to see what kind of risk you can take and how to balance that guidance and independence without over controlling. An example of Mary Com inspiring journey for risk taking as in parenting and career. It's a nice off the track. We have been discussing about only industry leaders, but now it is about a women, especially when we are in the Women's Day special mood. And we are going to continue celebrating the womenhood the entire March. In US, we recognize women in their past achievements, present, and even for future recognition. So we're going to celebrate the entire month. And I'm doing an Insta Live talks, EQ talks, with empowered women who's empowering women, and to celebrate that femininity in all of us. And these athletics are not only extraordinary in what they do, because being an athlete and performing at a global level and also being recognized as a top athlete is definitely not an easy thing, especially when they have to manage their career and parenting. Emotionally, not just physically, mentally, and emotionally, they have to be strong. So let's see what makes them who they are. And also some actionable strategies helping your child develop resilience using brain skills. Now, let's understand risk taking in parenting as such. Allowing children to face challenge, navigate those challenges from their own experiences without being controlled by the parents. Okay? So we are talking about brain skills. So it is necessary to see how your logical brain approaches a particular situation and how your right brain approaches a particular situation. Analyzing risks and awards of giving children more autonomy, that is, control of their life in their hands, discretion in their hands. So that is going to be the logical brain. So your logical brain will analyze the risks and rewards in a particular situation. It is very, very important as a parent, right? We just don't want to, for the sake of, let them try, and we don't even want to see what's happening. No, that's not how we call ourselves as interdependent. So we want to back them up, but we also want to analyze what kind of risk can we actually take by allowing them to do what they sometimes. Certain exposure, especially digital gadgets, are not necessary. There are a lot of things that they watch are not necessary, very, very juvenile and very matured things, which is not necessary for their childhood. It corrupts the mind, it disturbs the mind, the peace, and their thought process, and emotionally and even physically, they get into a lot of hormonal imbalances, which is going to affect them for their life. So we need to understand, and we need to assess and analyze and fix what kind of risk can they actually be allowed to take, and what kind of rewards can we attach to give it to them, because we need to be appreciable for the efforts that they have taken, not for the winning part, whether they win or not, but for the purely that effort they have taken, that risk is what is matters. Because at the end of the day, right now, the whole world is churning towards appreciating the failures. You may see a lot of tangible, visible things or more to drawn towards success, but in the near future, everybody will start respecting their own vulnerabilities. Okay, it is because very, very important that we, responsible influences, leaders, community leaders, we're all encouraging as a parent, as a community, holder, and when we guide our clients who are parents, we want them to first of all make mistakes and accept their flaws first. As long as you are able to accept your flaws is when your child is going to see you and then demonstrate what they have to do. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult for the child brain to understand what is flaws. First of all, all the time they cover up makeup, and they see you covering up with makeup and not being authentic self, you're just faking up. So they also want to adhere, because children only observe. They don't do it before that. They observe and do it. All right. Then your right brain is going to let you trust your intuition to recognize when to step back. A very, very important skill. You should know when to pause, mindful pause, and be able to step back to let that seed blossom, sprout. And you don't want to, check the seed all the time, whether it is going to sprout or not, right? We don't want to check the roots. We want to wait. We want to water it. We want to nurture it. We want to pray for it. We want to protect it until it grows, right? So that's what is trusting intuition and trusting the process. The key message here is balance, learning, and confidence. You're going to balance, find that equilibrium, that balancing point between guidance and independence. Too much of autonomy may be labeled as independent. It may look like a freedom, but then too much of freedom is also, freedom always comes with responsibility. Forget about too much of freedom. Freedom is itself is a profound responsibility. So with that, we need to figure out what is the balancing, sweet spot. And then learning, enabling children to learn those valuable life lessons when they, have a setback. That is more important, so that they can look this as an opportunity for the next time. Confidence, build that self-assurance through controlled risk-taking. Absolutely. Controlled risk-taking, calculated risk-taking is a good thing. It's a healthier practice. But suppose you don't know, and suppose you cannot measure the risk and you just let the child go through the risk, sometimes, some danger can happen. If it is going to harm the kid, it's going to retain in their brain as a terrified memory. And they will become risk averse in their entire life, in any dimensions of life. So it is very important to, you know, give that calculated, the controlled environment within which they can exercise. Then comes risk-taking in parenting advantages. First is independence. It develops their decision-making skills and self-reliance. They will rely on their own intuition, their own choices. They won't, look upon you all the time. It is okay, until 7, 8 years, it's still okay, because there are a lot of life transactions. It is still not matured for the child brain, even when they are preteen or teenager. Until 18 years, until, why is the government, or why those days traditional Gurukulam and all that institutions have set up an age for, the young children to become a young adult. So there is an age from 16 to 18 is when that maturity can blossom, before which a child is a child. Okay. In their world, they may, behave like they may feel like a superhuman, but, and at the same time, in parents' eyes, we may look at their child even when they're 40 or 15. That's not appropriate. Until 16, 18, biologically, logically, technically, physically, they are tender, they are immature. So it is important to guide them, but not spoil their, their decision-making process. They need to be able to make that choice in, smaller ways. In daily transactions, at least give them the practice of choosing themselves what they want and learn from that. It is very hard for us to step back. Huh? So that is why it is important to learn these brain skills so that your brain will give that pause. If you train your brain will help you. Problem solving fosters critical thinking and adaptability, enables children to face challenges and recover from failure, and stronger relationship between you and your children, because the more you allow them to take that call, they will start, oh, okay, mama was right or dada was right, or maybe I should do something, really good next time. I shouldn't let my mom or dad go down. So you see how the respect is inbuilt. They not only respect you, they also have the self respect. Then there could be some drawbacks to it also, right? We should be aware of both the downsides as well. It can have a failure risk, potential for emotional or physical harm if not guided properly. As I just told you, suppose you cannot assess the risk properly and let your child go through that, it's going to be very harmful for their life experience. Okay, maybe physical harm could still be, I'm saying physical harm also has a memory. Maybe the wound can be healed, but then the emotional wound will never heal. The terror which is caused, or the fear that is caused, will never go away, because any strong emotions triggered during the childhood times, including us, right? It is still demonstrating in the adulthood till we die. So it is that tender. The childhood is that tender. We need to be able to assess it and then be able to do it. Not everything in life also can be assessed and taken also. But you need to gain this practice. Okay. Then social pressure. A judgment from others, other friends or other peers from their side or your side, when allowing children to take risk can also be a factor, especially right now when it's fast paced, highly competitive, highly greedy, FOMO, huge social pressure, both for the child and for the parents. Parental anxiety also, difficulty in letting go of control, causing fear about child's well-being. Very, very important from our side. If you cannot let go of what you are adamant in, that's going to showcase on your child. You may not be aware of it right now, but internally they would have developed some adamancy by just observing, right? Because more than the genes, of course, the gene and heredity matters, also the environment. If they have been with you, it could be your child or any child, they will adapt your styles. Child overwhelm can happen. Stress from excessive risk. Keep on taking risk only for the sake of training them. If you keep on giving them risk and no rewards, it's not going to have a balance, potentially affect their long-term confidence. Because as and when they are matured for that risk, taking that risk and gaining that failure or success is okay for them to handle. But if they are not matured and they keep on taking risk and so many failures, is only going to get labeled in their memories, which cannot be, recalled very easily. Now, when it comes to importance of risk taking in parenting, suppose you don't have the skill in you, you're going to stunted emotional and cognitive growth, leading to dependence and low esteem only. If you cannot exercise this, if you make them dependent on you, maybe for our own fulfillment, it's going to affect the children's. Our own ego can affect their life huge way. Resilience, independence, and emotional strength, preparing for real world challenges is also very, very important. So, one is to make them, become resilient. That is important. Another one is to also give them the autonomy of making choice, because when they make a choice, failure or success, they know how to bounce back. And second thing is also that emotional strength, because not just a failure that they have to handle, the pain that they have to handle, also the pressure is getting built, either through peers or within themselves. They could be so harsh on themselves. So we need to be balancing with some rewards, motivation, backing them up. So for long-term benefit, better problem solving skills, higher emotional resilience in adulthood, that will also, the more they start taking smaller risk, they are only going to build themselves up really very strong for their challenges in life. That is where they know you have their back. They know you can be accountable anytime. They can fall back on you, but still they want to take that call. So that is called interdependence. Statistically, also, 30% kids who are brought up in this way are able to problem solve, okay, their own problems that they can handle, 30% greater than the other children. And then 25% they are higher in handling their resilience emotionally. So this is a Harvard University's research showing important and improved outcomes for children to be able to allow to take risks. And who needs to embrace risk taking in parenting in general? First, competitive environment parents, raising children in fast paced settings where independence is key. I'm talking about highly developed countries where they already have a culture of letting their children go right from their smaller age. That is where it is very, very competitive. It's a dignity issue. A child at home after 14, 15 years, they start working. In fact, in the Texas state that in US, it is also allowing a 15-year, 16-year-old kid to drive car. So because they want to, it's a car-driven city, so they want to give that autonomy for the child, the boy or a girl, young boy or a girl, to be able to drive and go for work and school and handle their earnings, and they don't want to stay on within their parents' living. So that autonomous they want to be. And then the educators, fostering growth mindset, encouraging risk taking in learning is also important. Parents of a teenager, guiding transitions from adulthood with an increased independence from a teenhood to young adulthood is very, very important. So that is where the educators, the teachers, and the parents play a huge role apart from the peer that they are surrounded with. Parents of young children also teaching early decision making, responsibility, and accountability is also key now. Let's see where we can apply this quickly with some very, very simple and realistic examples from our life. Okay. So all of us can see through it commonly. First is social development risk taking. Step back first time, then observe, and then support. When they are behaving with their children, with their friends, the very first thing that we will notice is to when we take them for playing. That's the first exposure, right? Before even school comes in, the toddler meets their friends outside. So allow children to navigate friendships independently. For example, let them decide who to invite, playtimes, play dates without your intervention. Now, a toddler may not be able to decide. I'm talking about an elementary kid, because that is when 6 or 7 years is when the child is able to think what they like and what they dislike. That is the discretion that they start taking, smaller discretion. So that time you can step back and be able to guide them, but don't talk for them. Don't tell them what to do. Observe. Watch as they handle social dynamics on their own. For instance, notice how they resolve a toy sharing conflict during a play date without rushing to mediate, or are they getting aggressive, or are they, passively, accepting a lot of things, but still not able to express what they want. These are observations which can tell you what kind of child problems or challenges that they can come up and what kind of solutions that you can give, right? Support. Provide guidance only when necessary. For example, other perspective when they feel excluded, right? But let them decide how to address that situation themselves. You don't jump in just because it hurts your ego. We all have done this at some stages of life. It does hurt, but it all depends on how much awareness that we have, how much self-control we have, how much of education has it gone in, how much of wisdom that we have, and how much of courage we have to just see, take a pause and observe what happens. It could be a huge influence in our own child brought up, right? We go back and refer. How did we manage? And how did our parents do it? So this is the constant reference that we will take. That can also be a good influence or a bad influence. Either which ways, take a pause, step back, observe, and support. That is what will lead you to interdependent parenting uh, in this age. Forget about the ones what your parents did, my parents did, or your grandparents and all that. That age is gone. What is needed for the future is something that is our responsibility to hire. Academically, how can you give that responsibility of risk taking? Ownership. Encourage children to take charge of their schoolwork on their own. For example, let them pack their own backpack and remember assignments, due dates without reminders. I know it's tough. I've been through too, but it is important, when they, before they hit the mid school, right? By the time they hit the mid school, it's going to be very rigorous for the child to take it. Okay. But that's how the system is taken. And when every kid goes through this journey and every parent also goes through, I still remember by the time my child went from elementary to mid school in US, here the circumstances was totally different. So even the parent, every time the elementary school classes happens, the teachers comes to in Indian schools also, right? All the teachers come to their homeroom, but it's just totally opposite when they go to mid school, where the children has to go through rooms, figure out, and every minute is considered as study. Very disciplined. So that amount of discipline and responsibility should kick in, right? Mistakes. Allow for more errors to build accountability, not for repeating or not for creating as a behavior. It is important to build that accountability. For instance, resist that urge to, check the homework before submission. You don't do it. Letting new natural consequences teach more effectively than their parental correction. Very important. Again, no parents are perfect in that. We're all learning. So even before, the awareness is very important. There could be sometimes that we felt, oh, I wish I knew this earlier. So that is essentially why we are doing this kind of series. When I take that example or when I do some research on that episode, even I'm learning. Maybe I would have done it better in my experience using my own wisdom, or may not in some areas. I may not even know what I'm supposed to do. So, this kind of awareness, if you're a parent like me, this will definitely help you. Okay. Time management. Let children manage their homework schedule independently. For example, providing a weekly planner and allowing them to decide what they want to complete assignments, even if they occasionally misjudge the time needed. It's okay, maybe a tardy or maybe a grade down, because maintaining that average from mid school to high school is very important job. Okay, that's what is determining their success in terms of getting their college. So the child will know how to handle the same. And time management skills is the most important needed skill when they transition to mid school to high school. Risk taking and extracurricular activities, trying new things. Okay, encourage that child to explore unfamiliar activities or sports. For example, let them sign up for multi musical instrument as well, and they have never played before. That would definitely be an exposure for them. I still remember when my daughter was a toddler and then elementary school. By the time she moved to mid school, we must have taken her to around, or we must have given her the exposure about 16 to 18 skills. I'm talking about skill wise. It's not about an event or an occasion. I'm talking about those classes, those areas where she could gain that skill, starting from arts, music, writing, calligraphy, and, skating, martial arts, physical activities like badminton, or many what do you call STEM related activities. So not only she was exposed, she was also committed to be there for a while to see whether it is suiting her or not, and how can she create milestones in the same before quitting. For example, when she was a small child, like first, second grade, is when we introduced her for skating. The entire 1 full year, every week, diligently, whether she's feeling well or not, even if she has a fever, she'll call us on Saturday morning to, buckle her up and then put her into the skating grounds. She did that for continuously every week, 52 weeks, entire 1 year. And then all of a sudden she said, as she passed down the levels very easily at the fourth level or fifth level, she said, I think after this, I don't want to risk it, because it's more of a, it's a indoor inline skating. And she found herself, her, her thirst is quenched. And she said, okay, it could be a little harmful for my knees. So she doesn't want to do it. So she continued other skills as well. So the commitment that the child showed is a great boost for us also. And we used to reward her for the risk that she'd taken. May not be, there are many tournaments happened in many skills that she had exposed to. She even went to globals when she was participating in STEM related activities, but then it had its own hard work. It had its own time to bring up that understand that discretion. Hey, look, this is what I want to do. So the thing is, jack of all trade, right? They say going wider is very, very important before they narrow down. Now, after mid school, they don't have time. So that is when they will pick up one or two and then get committed to it. So this is a natural way it gets narrowed down. But very important for them to have that exposure, especially in elementary times. The school itself is very relaxed, right? They don't have homeworks in US, so it's very relaxed, and they can explore a lot of things. But unlike in India, they have a lot of homework and all that. But it is important in a way, right? And that's where the brain also gets rewired. Uh, a lot of neurons helps them be creative, and do what they can do. It definitely builds the confidence in the child, but for which even parents have to contribute, right? It is a great commitment. And then allow them to face challenge, support them through initial difficulties without interfering too quickly. For instance, allow them to work through frustration when learning a difficult dance routine or anything. Learning a skill is not that easy, right? They have to go through that journey. Even I still remember doing a crochet. She started doing a crochet, handling the needles and the hard, stitching styles and all that when she was 9 years. So she did a whole big doily, which was very, very difficult one for an adult. So she did take that, she cried. All this can happen. Downsides will always be there, but she kept pushing herself. So this kind of made her self-reliant. She will now know any challenges that she's pick up, she'll know that what kind of a person she is to handle the challenges. She tells us that, I'm a person who wants to, compete, who wants to take it up as a challenge. This is something that she found herself, using her self-awareness. It is not from us. So this is what is building the resilience in the children, helping them reflect on both the success and failures as valuable lessons, celebrating effort rather than achievement, such as acknowledging their persistence in challenging the tournament is very, very important. And let's see how they can manage daily responsibilities also. So it is not only the talents, academics, scores, and how they are socially, right? It is also how they are taking care of themselves, within themselves and around themselves. Huge. It determines their character, right? Chores. Assigning age appropriate household task without micromanaging is very, very important. Let them handle their laundry from starting. So those are something that we can always pick it up. And budgeting also, teach them financial literacy, allowing, allowance management, considering providing an amount and allowing them to, buy something, making that spending decisions. Because when we say they're not going to get it, they're not going to get that valuable lessons. For example, even when they're not, when it comes to hygiene, um, you know, if it's going to be folding clothes, or if it's going to be taking care of their restroom, allow them to do that on their own. Give them that individual space and then ask them to maintain it. Then they will know the pain and they will understand why we are saying what we are saying, right? That is interdependent parenting instead of controlled parenting. Do what I say. Instead, you can explain, you can discuss with them, and then both of you together to be in a transaction is very, very important. And letting themselves daily schedule their own routines is also very subtler thing that you can do. You can ask them, if it's going to be a study time, what is it you want to study? If it's going to be a play time, what is it you want to play? With whom you want to play? What time you want to play? How much you want to play? And after that, you want to do what? The entire week can be done that way. So that will help them feel that they are also participating in the decision making. And emotional expression and risk taking is equally very, very important. Freedom, that gives freedom, right? Encourage children to express emotions openly. For example, create that feelings corners. Look, you can use the emotion wheel and then ask them to choose what kind of emotions they are going through at that point of time. Daily also, at mornings and nights, and sometimes when they feel tough within themselves, ask them to show which feeling are they actually going through. Because a lot of us, we don't have a vocabulary towards emotions. There are more than 300, 3,000 emotions words, more than that. How many of us know how to use it? No, even a child cannot. Some child are very expressive, but they may not be vocabulary okay. But in US, because the language skills are very high, they are so vocal in telling what they are feeling, right? So it is important to see where that feeling's coming from, and then without fear of judgment, they have to open up to you, right? Navigation. And one more thing, I have found out is every day I listen to her stories right after she comes from school. It's been a practice from her elementary school. Okay. By the time she comes from school, she has a lot of stories to share. That is where I really understand her problems, her interest, and her friends. So all that is a predictive patterns. Those stories will tell me what kind of predictions I can have on the child's me. Okay, she will always know that she can always have me at the back. I love to listen to stories and then be able to guess what she wants in her mind. That way it creates awe in the child also, right? Suppose you're able to give them the surprise of not only as a gift, even your expression. What if they know, wow, how did you even know this about me? So that is something coming out of you observing keywords from them. And accordingly, in fact, one more thing what we did was based on her key words, whatever she spells out, her likes, her dislikes, her frustration. Accordingly, as a parent, we choose her extra classes. So the stitching started, right? It's more to do with her handwork. So we found out that she's more a hands-on work person. And then the more she does it, she felt calm and very, herself. And same way, skating. So one or two times she said the feelings of how she would feel like when she skates. The moment we made her join that, she was like fully there. She was happy. With that fulfillment, a child can do whatever we ask her to do, even if it's going to be a tough one. So it is very important to notice that key skills, keywords, and be able to support them. That can happen only when you can, have that expressions, create that environment, what do you call it, a protected environment for them to open up. And then, fostering growth. So emotional intelligence or emotional awareness through experience is very, very important for them to identify, name that emotions during challenging situations. So let them develop their own coping strategies over time. As I already said, create a feelings corner or create that one time in the day where they can open up. Then they will be able to express more about what their feelings, and they will figure out solutions, or you can help them figure out solutions. All right. Now, after this, we're going to directly step into actions, okay, where we can use our brain hacks, brain styles, using the left brain, right brain, both the brain, and see where we can use these hacks as a shortcuts to be able to apply. First thing is left brain. You're going to start with small risk taking, okay? By, for example, ask them to choose clothes. Let the children select their own outfits for a school. I'm telling you, one, it could be very stressful, especially elementary. And if you have one child or more than one child, it is even more stressful for them to, for you to choose the outfit for them. Especially in US, it's every day it's color dress, like it's their choice. There are no uniforms at all, unlike India. So occasionally only we know color dresses, right? Over there, it's not like that. So it's very stressful. And if your children is so adamant and very self-conscious, oh man, it's better to get out of that routine at all. So I had to automate a lot of stuff saying that this is what is expected, and from this you can make your choice. So accordingly we label it, and that was also going against our shopping policies, because the more we shop, the more we buy a lot of clothes, which gets goes unattended or wasted. So we automated that entire process. So we buy only what she exactly needs, and she has to tell us, and it is her responsibility to make sure that she buys the right stuffs and wears the right stuff, and then discard the right stuff, and then be able to replenish. Only when she discards, she gets the new one. So this is the practice even for her toothpaste or a toothbrush. So that way he or she gets that responsibility of wisely spending. Very, very important to also make the choices in matching their clothes. So that is something that they let them do, right? So we found it very amusing when the child themselves are able to validate what color they have to choose. Okay, not every child goes through this, but if they can, it leaves you with the extra, leaves you away from stress. If they cannot, also it's best that you choose and they silently wear it. Most of the boys will also do that. Packing lunch also, allow them to prepare their own meals, starting with simple sandwich snack solutions. In the morning, it can be a war zone. I totally understand having two children or three children is more of a hell in the morning. But luckily in US, it's free. The lunch is free, but then it's not a healthy thing. So we at our home, we make sure breakfast is given and lunch is packed every day. Every other day, if only there are some days that she wants to have it at the canteen, it's fine, totally fine. But otherwise, nutrition is very, very important. And if they are not able to prepare meals in the morning time, it's totally okay, but they can pack it, right? And plan activities, give freedom to choose weekend activities, which park or which playtime or what subjects, what classes, let them develop. Setting clear boundaries, both the brains. Let's see how. First of all, defining limits. Establish clear, consistent rules for acceptable risk taking activities. For example, specify which parts of the neighborhood are very safe for independent exploration, which requires supervision. Now, this was one thing which was happening to us, that as a child, when they are in elementary school, totally under our guidance and supervision, especially when they are stepping out, because the world is not the same like it used to be before. We had total freedom. We were always on the street, but it is not so right now. So we need to know, and we need to be very clearly communicating the children, and they also know that that's a safer zone, that's a danger zone. Okay, so very important to have that physical boundaries also, not just the place location boundaries, also physical boundaries. So all that touch culture, no touch culture, what do you call that literacy of touching areas and all that. We call this as early literacy in terms of their safety, right? So we will have to educate them on certain protection, and also explain reasoning, because right now the Gen Z needs a validation. They need truth behind why we are saying what we are saying. Gone are the days that we just obediently just do what our parents say, but help children to understand the purpose behind those boundaries also, rather than simply imposing the rules. Not just the boundaries, even for anything, any rules, any discipline that you want to adhere, instead of doing a strict thing or very lenient thing, always have a reason towards that and discuss that. Discuss how boundaries create a safe space for them to exercise independence while developing good judgment also, and adjust as needed. Gradually expand boundaries, children's demonstrating decision making and problem solving. Suppose they are able to take care. Some children are very good in their own self care. They exactly know what things they are taking for playing, and then they have to bring it back. They will collect all of them very carefully, whether they are helping other kids to collect them or not. There are kids who will do that also, not only take care of their properties, they also will remind their children, right? If that responsibility is come, that smartness is there in the child, they are self-reliant. But if it is not, then we must wait till they have that kind of a skills. We must be able to guide them. So celebrate these expansions, and also as they grow, lenient, be a little more lenient in your boundaries, and allow them to experience that. Then encouraging problem solving is also important. Unless they are problem solvers in this world, they cannot exist. They need to be able to solve their own problems first and also around them. Present challenges, creating opportunities for children to face that age appropriate difficulties. For example, let them figure out how to build a challenging Lego structure. If you have a toddler, elementary kids, so figure out, at least that way they know how to solve a problem, fix a toy, or unbox something, or put it in a place, collect all that and all that toys and put it in its right place. It can continue. This one practice can continue even for an adult. If we take something out of the shelf, it has to go back to the shelf the same time after the job is done. Only then, next time you will find out. Because when you are in the family, that maybe that common things can be needed for others. So that it's a subtler responsibility that we are teaching them. Not only solve the problem, but also adds up to the responsibility. Guide them in the process. Ask thoughtful questions that speaks critical thinking rather than providing answers or abusing them. You don't have to say, okay, what happens if I do this for you? Okay. Don't get angry if things are not working, if they're not keeping the things properly at this place, or they're not taking care of their stuffs. Instead, what have you tried so far? And how do you think if it's gone back to its place? How do you feel the next time when you want to take it? So that's going to trigger some, goodness in them to think for themselves and others. What might happen if this is not available? That can also bring some gratitude in them, humbleness in them, right? Support execution. Provide emotional encouragement as they implement their solution also. Be with them. They let them know that you have their back. Acknowledge whatever outcome they have, whether it's they can do it or not successfully, but at least they have taken that effort is more and more important. Then mistakes as learning opportunities. That's your emotional brain, right brain activity. Normalize failure, very, very important. Within ourselves, we have to normalize the failure. Even in parenting, one time the child could listen to you, 10 times they don't listen to you. Maybe the 11th time, yes. But failures in parenting is also normal. We don't have to beat ourselves up, but instead we'll take the right effort constantly, and there will be a journey for the child to also understand. Some child gets matured very quickly. Sometimes the journey for the child is late. They might get it in high school when they see their peers doing the same thing. They may understand, okay, mama was right or papa was right. So we were. Not everything we, took for right when our parents said. We learned it the hard way. So help children understand making mistakes is a natural part of the learning process. When your child's science experiment doesn't work, discuss how scientists multiple efforts before that success. The research paper takes a huge lot of years before they arrive at a final statement. Um, you know, it takes huge time. Then celebrate that effort, reflect together also. Analyze what went wrong, what served well, what can they continue, and how well they did. Okay. Then comes again about the brain where emotional support is also there. Listen very, very actively. Give your fullest attention to your child's feeling without interruption. Again, it's a hard thing. Okay. Example, put your face, straight to their face and then eyes, and then put your phone away, first of all. Then you can face your child to their eye. Maintain that eye contact. And when they can share playground conflict or when they share the school stories, it's very important to notice their gestures, eye movement, at least their feelings from their heart, the words, key words. Validate emotions, acknowledge their feelings without judgment or minimizing that. It's okay. You're just a child. It's okay. No, even as a child, it's very important for them. So I understand you're frustrated about not making up in the team, but it's completely normal to feel that way. You're not disregarding saying it's okay next time. Oh, that could be a painful thing that please don't say that because it piles up, and then it explodes one day. I've been through also, and I've seen parents doing it. Do not discard that way. Instead, you can normalize the feeling. At least for now, you be with them. Yes, it is frustrating. That is what is the child wants to, hear it out. And then encourage resilience. Offer that specific support to future attempts as well when emphasizing growth. Because when in the near future, when they are trying the same thing, they know that you are watching that because you heard them, right? If you have discarded their emotion at that time, they know for sure that you're not going to pay attention because it has no value in you. But when they know that they were heard by you, and they will respect when they have successful attempts, they will definitely be grateful for you because during their tough times you stood there listening to them. Being heard and being seen is the basic fundamental needs of the human being, whether it is a child or an adult. Then let's talk about the last but one section of this episode about a case study where we are talking about a very, very famous athletic called Mary Kom, where she managed to not only become a top athlete, also went through a lot of things in her career as a successful athlete, as an individual, and as a parent. Okay, so her career and parenting, there has to be a huge balancing. Otherwise, a person cannot calmly becoming a top athlete representing the nation. It's not an easy task. Every day, every moment, before the winning moment, she must have gone through the journey, for which huge support could have been their family. Let's see what happened. balanced professional boxing with motherhood, and encouraged independence, resilience in her children too, as a parent, because that's what she was given as a a person. So that's what is going to happen for her children as well. So her left brain, because we are talking about brain skills, let's see what happened to her. How has she used her brain skills? Her left logical brain could be helping her taking that strategic decision, right? Because leaving her child at the time when she needs the mom most, when she needs that feeding time or baby growing time, she has to maybe concentrate on her, fitness. She has to be very strict in diet or even, talking to people. How important it is to balance that career risk and with that of children needs to careful planning and time management, efficiently juggling training and parenting responsibilities, a huge step, huge stretch for any ladies. Goal setting, clear objectives for both the career and family life. Winning for India could be the one challenge, one mission. And her right brain skills. She's a woman too. She's a mother too. So naturally, her right brain could be oversizing. So her emotional resilience maintained that strength in face of career and parenting challenges. She knows that, she had compromised, but for what at the end of the day? Because with her winning, she's going to teach a huge thing for her daughter or a son, right? Intuitive parenting, that's called intuitive parenting, trusting her instincts in balancing career pursuits and with the children's need. Intuitive, very, very intuitive. That's why it's called right brain. And empathetic, connecting emotionally with children while pursuing personal goals also. Not just that, emotionally connecting with themselves. Otherwise, we will self-sabotage. We need to be able to affirm ourselves, emotionally be empathetic to ourselves, because we know we are doing it for nation. Compromising our child, she was a toddler, he or she was a toddler. A child could have been a feeding stage, or that's the time that motherhood is very critical. So it is a compromise. Maybe, with right kind of time management skills and planning is where, Mary Kom would have been able to be there for both. She could have only been balancing and harmonizing it. And by knowing and acknowledging that, yes, there is a compromise. Otherwise, it's very hard. Emotionally, you cannot be very weak when you want to face global competitors. So her top brain talents, which got her success, could be focus, maintain concentration on long-term goals in career and parenting. So he had a boy, resilience, demonstrated perseverance for both boxing and childbearing. Wow, she was even childbearing. Imagine, right? Balancing successfully managed professional and personal life demands as well. Hats off. And talking about Mary Kom in this March special month for women is huge honor. At this point of time, if you're a woman watching this, or you could be any, person, any walks of life, you may have a question like, how do you allow your child to make decisions even with mistaking potential? You could be a parent out there, but still be in different walks of life. But these questions could be daunting you. So, I have a gift for you. If you have questions on your boundary setting, or if you want to know how well are you stepping back, or what kind of emotional support you have, do you even take strategic planning, and how do you create that emotional support around you? All these questions can be answered in the form of self questionnaire. So this is coming out to you as a quiz format where you can answer the questions, and even for a wrong answer there will be 3 tips, right kind of tips, where you can still learn it. So around 10 to 20 questions where it will be a learning process again, and you can self-assess how do you stand in understanding these things, not only for this episodes, also for 100 other episodes. The entire 100 episodes you will find quiz for each and every episode. How's that sound? It's going to come to you, that too for lifetime, for free of cost, this entire month. Okay. In fact, before I complete this 100 episodes, once I complete and once it is out there for public, it's going to be of charge. So there's a link given below in the description. Click on it. You will be asked to pay, but don't pay it. I want you to use the free code that I will give it to you, provided I want something in exchange from you. I want to know how serious you are about this, right? When I'm giving you a lifetime and I'm giving you free of cost, I want to see how much it is valuable for you. So share with me some experiences as a parent that you would like to share with me and my audience. How did you allow yourself take that risk, and what was the outcome? And what is it you want to share, or even take three insights from this episode and share? So when I see your comments engaging, I will be able to pick you up and then ask for your email ID and give you that 100% free coupon code. Along with that, I have one more gift for you. The entire month, we have EQ Brain Skills workshop. End of this month, this entire month is celebrating womanhood. So if you're a woman out there in different walks of life, if you want to develop your brain skills, learn about risk management skills, not just as a parent, as an entrepreneur, or you may be a working professional, or you may be handling your personal finances, health, how can you actually learn this brain skills called risk tolerance is something that not only for this talent, also for all the talents that we will be discussing in this 100 episodes, it's all given in one report format. And that one report will be a discussion point in this interactive workshop. 2 hours, 3 days, we're going to complete the entire 100 episodes. How's that for you? There will be a lot of like-minded moms like you, women like you, who will be dealing with similar problems, but all of you will talk about common brain talents where you can develop, and you will also figure out what is your unique, EQ abilities. At the end of the session, you will also get a AI generated unlocking personal assessment free of cost for you. Okay, if that interests you, go ahead, click the link below, and somewhere here or in my bio, you will find the link for EQ Brain Skills workshop to be conducted this March alone. That's going to be coming to you free of cost. And next time when the workshop comes, it will be for a cost. Along with that, if you haven't still subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so that you will be notified. I'm also doing an Insta live EQ talks celebrating womanhood. That will also give you some insights. And Spotify, I'm doing a podcast for all these episodes in a shorter version. Please do subscribe so you will get notified. But what I want to tell you with this episode is all of us have risks in our life, whether it is personal life or it is personal life, business life. We have done a lot of episodes talking about risk in different angles. Now, what I want to tell you is, if you are trying to, take smaller risks, manageable risk, and putting all these brain hacks, even if it's one or two brain hacks that you can practice this for a consistent time, you can rewire your brain. Okay. So if you want to raise a confident, resilient, and independent child, it is our responsibility also. You want, then you should be resilient, confident, and independent in taking decisions. So you equip yourself. If you have been watching this episode, it will definitely help you, and also get into some action mode like attending the workshop or getting in touch with me if you want a one-on-one consultation. And the greatest gift that you can give your child is the freedom to walk this earth in their own choices by taking their own risks, by using their discretion. So that is how we want our children to walk this path, right? So that's how we want the legacy to be followed upon. So if you want that, if you want to be that kind of a parent, make sure that you watch these episodes completely and put it into action. That's more important. That will be a gift for me. So I'll see you in the next episode, maybe with a different topic. But hang on till we complete the 100 episode and even more. You will find more strategies, emotional intelligence,